up everybody, my name is Taboo, and right now what's going on in my world is taking a little break. Black Eyed Peas, we're going to take a little hiatus to work on personal projects. You know, every time we have an album cycle come to an end, we take a break from time to time. We did that in 2006. Now we're doing it again in 2011. I've been fortunate enough to have an opportunity to DJ and to perform and to start my DJ tours in Europe. I'm going to be doing that in the next couple weeks, and next year I'm going to be focusing on that, movies, and also working on a Spanglish solo project for the Latin market. It feels great, especially being a Mexican American from East LA, being surrounded by a lot of negativity and violence and, you know, things that come with living in the inner cities. I found music and my friendship with will.i.am and Apple Diap to be the catalyst for positivity, for creating music for the world, and I feel like you know, that just kept me with my head straight. My family being very supportive, my mom giving me the opportunity to follow my dreams, that was what kept me in line, and I think that it's just a natural progression of positivity. My dancing began when I was 5 years old, and it started because of my grandmother. My grandmother was the one that inspired me. She was the biggest motivator in my life to go after my dancing dream. Since I was a kid, I used to dance at backyard parties, quinceañeras, and it started with Spanish music. Then when I first saw hip-hop, at the age of 10, I fell in love with breaking, fell in love with popping, locking, b-boying, and from that point on, you know, it just progressed to freestyle dancing. I was inspired by people like the Nicholas Brothers, Mop Tops, to the Scheme Team, to the Soul Brothers, to Mission Impossible, to Leg 1, Leg 2, Trouble T-Roy. The inspiration goes on and on. But you know, and the way I adapted my style was big fan of Bruce Lee, martial arts. When I first started, I started incorporating martial art form with my dance style, which was freestyle, more footwork, more flash on the feet, popping, and it just incorporated all that stuff to create the magnetic style. Well, it all started in a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago. I was in Europe and I did an appearance just to host the gig, and the guy hit me up and he said, "Yo, do you DJ?" I was like, "Nah, but you know, I really respect the DJ community." They're like, "Yeah, you should DJ. You should try picking it up and learning it." So I called my boy Raul and I was like, "Raul, you know, I really want to tap into, because I love song selection. I love to be able to play songs that make people feel good. It's nostalgic, whether it's hip-hop or R&B or you know, 80s music or house or electro, whatever it is. I feel like I'm good at my selection." He said, "You know, you should pick up some CDJs." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'll start with CDJs." And I noticed that David Guetta and a lot of the DJs that are established use CDJs. So I started with that. And then my boy Apple, usually he has these things called Boom Boom Room, where it's like a little after party after a gig or whatever, and you know, it'll be like a couple band members and you know, Fergie, me, Will, we'll just be hanging out in his room ordering room service or whatever, and he usually DJs. So this time he didn't want to DJ, so I picked up, you know, I started DJing and I started mixing. And it kind of like, it felt good, it felt right to me, and I fell in love with it. So I give the outermost respect. I say that Apple inspired me. He was the one that allowed me to be on his DJ equipment. And I would say that the style that I use is more a performance. I have video that goes behind what I'm doing while I'm mixing. Also, you know, there's a dance element during the performance. I also do a couple Black Eyed Peas songs, so it's the whole package. It's just not me. It's just not me playing music. It's also a performance as well. I use a Nexus 900 mixer, and I use the CDJ 2000. Yeah, those are the greatest. Well, the studio is something that I like to call my man cave because it separates me from being at home. It's kind of like my own little world. When I started talking about building a studio with my wife, and she said, you know, you need to establish your music away from the house, because if the kids are sleeping and you want to turn your music up, you need to have your own world. So I went into kind of like designing this with my boy Raul, who's my engineer, and I said, Raul, you're going to be the studio manager. You got to make this right, because if I'm gone, I need you to make this happen for me. So we started designing it, and we said we wanted a Zen type of feeling, warm, but still modern. Also, I'm a toy man. I love toys. I love collecting toys from all over the world, and I wanted to add that flavor, and also sexy. You know, just a sexy feel. When you walk in, you're like, all right, this is a sexy feeling. Everything is very clean, very pristine. You know, I have vintage keyboards like this Rhodes. There's a little bit of vintage, but more modern. A little bit of the accolades that I've gotten, Grammys and American Music Awards. But it's like, it's a good feeling when you walk in here. And when people walk in, they're like, wow, I couldn't imagine that this would be in a garage. Because literally, this was part of my garage. And I converted it into my own little man cave. A couple of my favorite toys for my studio, well, one being the Black Eyed Peas Experience. It's the new game that came out for Xbox Connect, and usually, you know, we'll set up the Xbox, people come in here and have dance-offs. So another thing is the Notorious B.I.G. doll, one of my biggest inspirations, great MC. Try to collect as many of my heroes in the hip-hop game as possible. So that's B.I.G. And then the MPC, Kai 2000, and that's how I started producing. I started with the MPC, and I got inspired by people like Jay Dilla, rest in peace. When I saw him using it, we had a studio session with him, and I was just blown away by the way he truncated his drums, the swing he had off the MP, and also DJ Premier. He's a big MPC guy, so you know, I got inspired by that. And also our DJ back in the days, his name was DJ Motivate. He taught us how to produce, and I know that it's not as useful now to a lot of producers, but I still have it in my heart. I love the way it feels. I love the pads, everything about it, the old school feel. So my MPC will always be with me. Well, some of the music that I've been creating have been songs with producers like DJ Homicide, Keith Harris, Mario Marchetti, songwriters like Juanes, who's a big Latin star, to Raito and Sebastian J. I just did a song with Paulina Rubio that came out 2 days ago, and you know, I'm trying to really focus on the Latin market, because that's something that is very dear to me. You know, I just did the Latin Grammys, and I feel like that I've been embraced by my Latin community, and I feel like I deserve, or the Latin people deserve an album from me, so that's what I'm focusing on, more on the Latin rhythm. The creative process, there's really no formula. Sometimes it comes from a melody that I put on my iPhone, and then we'll put a beat to it, or sometimes I'll listen to a beat and I'll find a certain lyric or a verse that I'll put to it, or just humming something, like, you know, just something in my head, and I'll lay it down, and then they'll construct the beat to whatever I'm humming. So there's really no big formula to it. I love them. I love the fact that they bump. They're pretty portable. You know, I could transfer them from here from this studio into my home. They look very sleek, and I can't wait to continue pumping them. Don't let nobody say you can't do it. The fact that I had my two good friends, will.i.am and Apple Diap, really believe in me as an individual, when sometimes my own family were like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. I needed to follow my own dream, and I was blessed I was very lucky and fortunate that I made it. I would just say, you know, stick to your guns. Whatever you want to do in life, do it. You know, believe in yourself, believe in your dream, believe in your craft, and much success. The book, Falling Up, is the first memoir out of the Black Eyed Peas camp, and I wanted to tell my story. I needed to let people know that, yeah, you could be on top of the game 1 minute. One bad decision could take you out of the game really quick, and thank God I made it. But this is just if somebody picks up this book and gets a sense of hope or inspiration, that's kind of what I'm trying to relay with the message with this book. Keep it on the positive. The most annoying. Does anybody know about the soccer games, the World Cup? Yeah. What are those things called?
The horn or whatever?
Vuvuzelas, right?
Vuvuzelas.
That's annoying, man. I hate that, and that's like the most. And when it's thousands of people doing it, because we did the World Cup, and when I heard that, I was just like shaking in my seat. It's just the most annoying thing you could ever hear in your life. Vuvuzela? What is it called?
Vuvuzelas.
Vuvuzelas, yeah.